Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Q&A show. I'm Bob Theriot, and thank you so much for joining me here on this Wednesday night. I have a really special guest, a local El Paso, born and raised, who's done right by the city. I'll get to him shortly, but let me do a little bit of house cleaning. For those of you that are on here, please don't forget to smash that heart button, hit that like button. I swear it's not going to shock you. Share it out with your friends and family. I want you all to participate. If you have any questions for my guest or for me, please chime in, but really share this out so that we can reach as many people as we can. So that's always the goal. And I also like to remind you that if you're watching and you don't have a question, but go ahead and hashtag live. And if you happen to see this show somewhere down the road in a replay mode or on the TheQ&A.show show, be sure to hashtag replay so that we know that you saw it in replay. That also helps us out a lot. I also want to go ahead and let you know that tonight's show is brought to you by Innovair Air Conditioning. And you guys already know, if you've lived in El Paso, summer's here. That's it. There's not going to be any more cold weather. So if you're thinking about converting to refrigerated air, please give our main sponsor a call. Innovair Air Conditioning, you can reach them at 915-352-3916. You can also go to their website at keepcool915.com, and they have a $250 coupon you can download right there. Give them a call. They're a fantastic company, and we always want to support local. So let me get to my next guest. A lot of you are going to know him. He's still on the music scene, best well known for his club back in the 80s and 90s and later iterations of it, of Club 101. Let me go ahead and bring him on. Let me introduce you to Mr. Joe Dorgan. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Nice. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. It was one of my goals to always get you on the show. Like I was telling you, I think you're one of the people that have helped get El Paso to where it's at now, especially the nightlife scene and the music scene. You were responsible for a lot of big bands coming to El Paso and performing at Club 101, and it's just really cool. I want to get into all that, but give everybody who doesn't know you a little bit of a background. I know you're from El Paso. Just tell them kind of how you started, how you got into the club scene.
I'm born and raised here in El Paso, Texas. I went to Eastwood High School. I started DJing when I was in college at UTEP. I was doing fraternity parties, and which led me into doing parties at hotels. And then I just decided I wanted to do my own club. So I found a warehouse in Union Plaza, downtown El Paso. But people thought I was crazy.
So you had a lot of naysayers trying to talk you out of it?
Oh yeah, what are you doing? This place is a rundown warehouse. Nobody goes downtown El Paso. I believe there was only one club downtown before we started down there.
And what year was that, Joe?
Club 101 started December 30th, 1989.
1989.
Right in Union Plaza. Well, it wasn't Union Plaza, but right there by the train station.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people on here that remember it. And I have a lot of fond memories of it. And I saw a lot of musical acts, and the place was just cool. It was different at the time. And I think, I mean, just from my recollection, you had a lot of bands come in. Can you talk a little bit about some of the bands that you befriended and became friends with and things like that?
And one of one's most famous for a Nine Inch Nails show. We've had the Village People. We've had, you name it. We've had famous country artists, reggae artists, metal artists, Pantera, Radiohead. Tons of bands played 101.
You were more of a almost like a promoter, I would say. This was before the internet. So how did you form all these relationships? I mean, did Club 101 start getting a lot of regional and national attention from promoters, or were you outreaching to these people?
Well, before Club 101, I was spinning records at this hall on the east side called the Lost Iguana. Mm-hmm. And my very first show, I was calling agencies about shows, and they weren't giving me any shows, but I got a call from an agent from the William Morris agency and said, "How would you like to do Book of Love? We have a cancellation, and you can put the show together in 3 days." And this is before social media. So we made our own tickets. We hit the streets and we sold 300 tickets. So then I got the bug. I'm like, wow, this is how I'm going to contribute to the El Paso scene. I'm going to bring national acts to El Paso, and I'm going to let local bands open up for these shows. So I can't tell you how many local bands people tell me. It's like, wow, it was a real honor to play the Club 101 stage, opening up for, you know, a national act. So that's how
Yeah,
it
you were doing
started.
something at the time that people weren't doing at the time. It was something completely different.
Well, there was, yeah, there were some places that were doing local and regional stuff, but there was a lot of bands passing through Albuquerque, going on to Dallas or Austin. So, and we were doing this radio program called Stepping Out, which was on KXCR, which was a huge vehicle for us. We could play bands on the radio and then bring them to Club 101.
And it was more alternative music at the time, as opposed to the traditional just rock and roll, correct?
Yes, it was all, in fact, you know, the famous El Paso band At the Drive-In, they would go on tour. As soon as they came back to El Paso, we just let them take over the studio. We were like cramped in a small room, and they were, you know, playing live on this with one microphone. So it was very, yeah, alternative, cutting edge. A 10,000 watt radio program, and it was number one listen show from 8 to 12. We beat out the 100,000 watt stations.
And so what happened? I mean, you guys were rolling. Was it just another one of those corporate deals, or somebody came in from corporate and said, we're not going to do this? What happened with that?
With that radio program?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was KXCR, and they got into the business of, they did two huge jazz festivals, which they took a bath on. And I got to the point where I was paying to play. I was sponsoring my own show to keep it going. But they sold it to it, which is now called K-Love. But there was other programs on there besides the Stepping Out show. But now everything is so corporate, like you said.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Wouldn't you say that the music industry has just changed completely from, I mean, just promoting bands to the way
Oh,
you were doing it? I mean, at the time, could you just call them up, or was it just, how different was it? What was the contrast, or what's the biggest difference now? If you wanted to start promoting, say.
well, you're right. It's very corporate as far as the radio stations. You know, they're all conglomerates. They have consultants, which I always call them insultants, and they're playing music with other markets, with not with our El Paso feel. As far as like for shows, I mean, we started off at getting regional bands and stuff like that. It's still doable if somebody wanted to get into the industry, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's very sewn up corporate wise.
So like right now, do you still have bands that come to you and ask you for advice? Like, hey, Joe, what can I do? Or is it just you're so far removed from the industry now that it's even hard to give advice?
No, I mean, I get local bands that ask me for advice. I still in contact with some uh, national acts and stuff like that. So no, I'm not removed. I'm going to do it again. So
So there will be some other iteration of a club, a little hint there, right?
yes, sir. It's a the people that promote concerts are the people that really are passionate about it. It's in your blood. So, I mean, I try to walk away from it several times. At the end of Club 101, I moved to Austin, and then I was just way overloaded with music, just 24/7, and I knew I had to come back to El Paso. So I'm still dabbling with music, DJing, and stuff like that. I'm going to get back into the industry full time.
You're going back full fledged. So right now you play gigs as they pop up. Try to still keep your feet wet a little bit.
That's right. We still have our, well, Stepping Out is now our program on Facebook that goes through Mixcloud. And we do a lot of special events. We're going to do a tribute to Morrissey. We've got a tribute to David Gahan. We do other special events. I'm involved in this. I have this festival that it's called the Full Moon Vampire Ball. It's our fourth year, and so we'll have an event in October.
So you're still doing promotions and things like that with clubs?
Absolutely.
Besides DJing as well, right?
Yes, sir. I
And
DJ. I DJ twice a week. I'm at Aviators Central on Thursday night. I do this Britpop night. I'm
mhm.
at DTF on Friday nights, which is on the east side of a beautiful venue. And then Saturdays we do the special events with my partner Cesar Flores,
That's
who was
awesome.
the original 101 DJ forever.
From back in the 80s.
Yeah, he started with me before Club 101. So
Wow. That's cool that you guys are still together like that.
we're like big kids. We love music. So
But isn't it neat, like when you find that chemistry in any partnership or anything that people do and it clicks, it just seems to work. And when you try to bring in maybe other partners or other people or influences, it doesn't quite work the same. That's
oh,
for a
you're
lot
ab-
of people.
oh, you're absolutely right. You know, we click on all cylinders talking about music. We're real passionate about whether it's alternative, electronic, retro, dark wave. We like it all.
So you don't skew towards any, I mean, I don't put you on the spot, but I don't want to say you have a favorite genre of music because you are kind of everywhere. You've promoted all kinds of different bands and music, and I know you DJ. What's your take on EDM now and the way it is and the big huge festivals? I mean, I would have never thought, even at the time I was going to Club 101 in the late 80s and 90s, that you would see like a Neon Desert, a festival that big. It's the landscape of the music scene has changed tremendously. When you say that.
Oh, I totally agree. Back at the original Club 101, we were the first to bring in headliner DJs. We were bringing Richard Hunt Division, Bad Boy Bill, several DJs. We were filling in nights. We had no idea it was going to blow up. And kind of got away from it. I mean, we love the DJ world. Caesar and I, we went to the Winter Music Conference in Miami, which is like a 24/7 DJ party for 7 days. You don't sleep. Yeah, I mean, EDM's huge. I know there's a lot of haters of electronic music. Oh, they're just DJs. They just push buttons, which is not true. You still have to bring it. We had Steve Aoki at Club 101. We've had several world famous DJs at Club 101. So I love the electronic music.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I didn't really know what went into it. I mean, I'm a musician myself, but I didn't know that. I saw that documentary on Netflix about Avicii, and I
Oh
just
yeah.
couldn't believe how prolific he was with melody. I mean, not just, dropping beats or coming up with beats, but I mean, the melody and all of the overlays and music that he did. And he wrote a lot of songs, a lot of huge hits for people. And there's a lot of guys like that, David Guetta, and I'm sure you can name a whole bunch, but I don't think you're right. People have a full grasp of what goes into creating music that way.
Oh yeah. We had Moby played 101. One of my favorite ones was Skrillex. The guy's amazing. And then years later, I saw him. I was VIP at Coachella, and he was talking about how much he loved playing El Paso. So, yeah, I love the DJ world.
Yeah, I'd say that you put El Paso on the map for music. I mean, that's my opinion.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think I contribute a lot to it. I have a really good friend that I looked up to a long time ago. Oh, well, we talk all the time. One of my best friends, Bobby Welsh, who ran Pan Am Center and UTEP and was responsible for bringing U2 to the Sun Bowl. So I'd say I contributed, but I don't say I did it all. So, but I love collaborating with her and others,
Yeah.
especially her and Caesar. So
As
thank you.
do you think, oh, you're welcome. Do you think that El Paso is going to keep growing as far as music venues? Because I mean, there is some, but if you take the Dawn out of it and the Pan Am Center, I mean, there's really not a mid-level, would you say? Unless I'm totally off.
Yeah. My brother and I almost got into a real argument. Well, this guy at this barbecue place is, I'm not a believer in build it and they will come. I mean, everybody says we have to have this 20,000 arena. I'm sorry, we don't deserve one.
Yeah.
What I love about Austin, I mean, we were bigger than Austin so long ago, but they decided they'd be the live music capital of the world. And it starts at the local level, and you got to have the mid-level, like you said, and then you have these stadiums. Everybody's like, oh, well, we'll just get a stadium, and then all these promoters are going to start booking here. It doesn't happen like that.
No.
I mean, Pearl Jam didn't start off as a stadium band. They kind of jumped the clubs, but they, you know, it's got to be at all the levels, and people don't understand that. They just, oh, well, let's build a stadium. And plus, we already have 3 or 4 venues. So if we have another venue, that's just going to take away from the venues that we already have.
No, I totally agree with you. You can't, it's that whole, you know, that movie, if they build it, they'll come. I mean, just when you're talking about marketing 101, you've got to find the customer first. You have to see if the market, how it's going to react. You know, could you imagine if you just threw all this money down, and if they get the taxpayers to spend all this money on a 20,000, you know, seat arena, what's going to happen? I mean, you're going to have the Don Haskins and the Pat still competing against you, you know?
No, I agree. And I'm not a hater. And so people are like, oh, you're just hating us. It's, you know, a good example is the Dallas Cowboys scrimmage. The first game was a sellout. The second one was less. The third one, it's gone. I mean, we're fair weather fans. It's the way it is. It's like, if we're winning, we'll support sports. You know, I don't know how to change that, but as far as music, it has to start at the local level.
So where do you see the hole, Joe? Where do you see the gap in music? Because there is a ton of talented people in El Paso. Would you not agree with me that there's a ton of just awesome talent that people just don't know about, right? And then we could talk about Khalid. I mean, he calls El Paso home. He was a transplant, but he considers El Paso home. And you look at somebody like him who just blew up.
Oh my God!
Right? I mean,
love that guy.
Yeah, what a shining light for El Paso, right?
Oh yeah, he put us on the map, and love that guy. Yeah, so what a great success story. But we do have a lot of talent here in El Paso, and I've been trying to get to more shows, you know. So people are like, you got to come to a show, and if I get invited, I'm going to go. I've seen some shows at some small venues, and I really enjoy it. And I encourage people to go to those shows. You know, people are like, oh, we're going to go to ACL. Well, great, you're going to watch a big screen TV. Whereas if you go to a small show, it's 200 people.
Right.
Guess what? You might get to meet the band, you know, at the merch table or whatever. So to me, seeing a show for $10, you know, there's a lot of good show, or $5 or whatever. I'd rather go see a smaller show. Not hating against the large shows and stuff like that, but you know, it's just like, wow, I'm watching a TV screen. I can't even see the band. I'm so far away.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to bring something up and see if you. I think I spoke to you about this a long time on the internet, but back in, it was somewhere around 95, 96, Prince had did a show back at the Pan Am in Las Cruces. And back then, I remember the show was over, the lights were coming on, and somebody walked up on stage and he said the Crystal Ball was taking place at this bar called the Wild West. I'm not from Cruces, so I didn't know, you know, where that was, but I knew that Prince's next album was going to be Crystal Ball. So something told me, I had my friends with us, and I said, we need to go find this Wild West club. And it was an offshoot, and I knew that he had done after-hour shows for charity. And I remember showing up, and I was probably one of the first 5 in line, and there was like maybe 6 of us. And I turned around, and I saw you standing in line. And when I saw you standing in line, I said, you know what? Prince is going to be here. Do you remember that night? Do you remember that show? Because I know you were there.
I do, because the Bobby Welsh was in charge of NMSU, and she said, you got to go to this club. Prince is going to play a club. Mm-hmm. So I got myself over there, you know, and I mean, he showed up late, but I just remember being in the crowd, and then here comes Prince, like feet away from me. I'm like, wow, what a cool show. But I don't understand. I think at 1:30 the club turned up the lights, and that was it. To me, I would lock the doors, take the fine, whatever. This is Prince playing in your club. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Prince fan. I was so fortunate to see Prince at Coachella when he performed the Radiohead theme song. And I was also at the Super Bowl, and I saw the Prince halftime show.
Wow, greatest Super Bowl of all time, hands down. And I know everybody knows me for liking Prince, but I mean, if you just look at it musically,
you and Victor Cruz are the biggest fans.
Yeah, me and Victor Cruz are the biggest fans, and I mean, hands down. But if people out there that never got to see him perform live, it was It was amazing. But at that show, that club, he was performing. There was maybe only one or two songs that I knew. The rest was blues and jazz music. I don't know if you remember.
I just remember playing in the piano. I was just like, oh my God, we're not very many people. And he was, I was very lucky to be there.
Yeah, me too. I tell that's one of those legendary stories where you say, was he really at this little, I mean, you could see from the front door to the back door of this place. Maybe it fit 100, 150 people, maybe.
Yeah, it was a small place.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So talking about music and bands, and I know that we had talked a little bit, but what was a band that you landed, that you booked at Club 101, or maybe in one of your other endeavors that you can't believe that you actually got them? I know that 9 Inch Nails, that was a big one, but was there one that you particularly wanted to get, that you were trying to get and you got them and you were like shocked?
Yeah, there's several bands that I tried to get. 9 Inch Nails, it was just a warm up for the very first Lollapalooza. So one that I was really proud of is I got a call from an agent who said, we've got this opening act that's touring with REM. I don't know if you've ever heard of this band called Radiohead. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. Okay, sure. So we got Radiohead. They played at this club on the east side called Metropolis.
I remember that.
He performed Creep, and it was his birthday, and the crowd was moshing. He stopped in the middle of the set and said, hey, this is not a mosh song. It's my birthday. Stop. And that was a legendary show. But, yeah, that was something that I was trying to get. And I actually met Radiohead in Dallas like 2 years before, and I was just like, I'm going to get you to El Paso. And I didn't think I was going to get him, and I got him. So
you got him. You know who speaking of that, you're bringing back memories. Metropolis, they were off of Lee Trevino, correct?
Right.
You know who I saw there? I saw there Terrence Trent D'Arby.
Oh, my God. He was supposed to.
Did you go to that show?
I did.
There was like, and I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, was there like 20 people in the crowd? There was like no one there.
He was going to be the greatest sensation. Yeah. I mean, I bought his first album. Again, Bobby Welsh brought him to
Pan Am.
UTEP.
Yeah, UTEP or Pan Am. I saw both those shows.
And he was known as a prima donna with the media. So he just, I mean, in radio stations. So he just kind of dropped off. I mean, he was going to be the replacement for NXS. So when they said, hey, you want to bring Terrence Trent? I'm like, yeah. And I love the show, but I took a bath. I mean, but yeah, there wasn't very many people there.
Was that your club at the time, or you were just promoting there?
No, I had Metropolis. We wanted to have a bigger venue.
Okay.
And there wasn't a club on the east side. So it was able for me to bring Slayer, all kinds of groups.
Yeah. You know, at the time, he had gone through a lot of problems with the media, and he wasn't the darling anymore because he had caused a lot of problems, and he had changed his look. I don't know if you remember.
I'm sorry, my phone is ringing.
That's okay. We'll pause. We'll take a pause there. Jay, that just reminds you, while Joe's phone's ringing, you guys like and share this. And if you have any questions for Joe, this is the time to ask him because he's here. And Joe doesn't do very many interviews.
I love this. We're having fun. I put my phone on silent. Sorry about that.
It's good. No, that's okay. It happens to the best of us. Yeah, but anyways, that Terrence Trent D'Arby show, I remember going. I couldn't believe he was there. And he had cut all his hair and he dyed it blonde. But he still put on a really great show. It was like he was in a room by himself. He was in a zone, and he played, and he had a good band with him, and it was a good show.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be an independent promoter because if you do a show, like at the Coliseum or whatever, and you get the door, and if you take a bath, that's it. But if you have a bar, you can throw your bar receipts to that, and you can kind of pad your loss a little bit. But so yeah. That night I was just a fan. I was just like, we're taking a loss, but people enjoyed it. People still talk about that show.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. So let's see. Right now you are doing some DJing. You already talked about that, and you kind of hinted at maybe bringing back Club 101. I could say, right? Club 101.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to.
So is this something that's boiling, or is it simmering, or is it soon? When do you think, or what are you hoping for?
We're looking at several locations. There's one location that we really like, and I don't have any news. I mean, every time I run into somebody, it's like, hey, when are you gonna bring back the Club 101? I was like, well, we're working on something, and I wish that I could announce it on your show, but I don't have anything yet. I'm hoping in a couple of weeks I'll have some news for you.
Well, when you do, you're welcome back to the show.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. We talked about that. So what's the hardest part? I mean, there's a lot of business people that follow the show, that watch the show. Let's talk a little bit about the bar industry, the nightclub industry. I mean, it's almost as hard as owning a restaurant, right? Because they say the restaurant's the hardest business to own. Would you agree with that, or would you disagree with that?
Oh, I think a restaurant is 10 times harder. Um, people are unforgiving if they have like a bad meal. That's it. I mean, if somebody has a warm beer or something or a bad cocktail or something, I can,
Give them another one.
but yeah. Um, Nowadays, I mean, there's a million bars out there, so you've got to find your niche, and you got to drive that niche, and you got to be real passionate about your niche, and you got to surround yourself with uh, a lot of good employees.
Yeah, and they come and go. I mean, I see these bars open up and you see them get flooded for the first 2 or 3 months, and then you start trickling off, right? Their family and friends start coming and it starts trickling off. And you may have a little bit more insight to this because I am curious because I do a lot of marketing. I have an agency, but I think a lot of times people forget just that they have to market and keep advertising. I mean, word of mouth is always going to be the ultimate thing, but they tend to forget they're riding that wave of the newness, the hot new thing, and then it starts trickling off, right? I mean, you've been in the business for a while, so what would you say to that?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I keep hearing there's been several bars here in El Paso. They're super hot year one. They drop off 50% year two. They don't do anything differently. They don't change the bar around. They you got to step on the gas. You got to because there's especially we joke about the millennials. We were like they're the first to get on something and they're the first to get off something, and they want swipe left, swipe right. They're on to the new club. So
Yeah,
you've got
they have short attention spans and they move on. You're exactly right.
and
I saw a statistic, Joe, saying that in the next few years, like 70 to 80% of El Paso's population is going to be under the age of 30.
wow.
So there's a lot of opportunity there, right? But there's a lot of competition too.
And I'm not hating on millennials. I mean, I see these places, some bars, they slap on some beer signs and have 30 TVs on there with sports all day long. Like, really? You're going to keep people there? And the same formula. Let's hire barely 21-year-old girls, which we make fun of. We call them restaurants. I mean, they're just, what are we selling here? There's just nothing cool about them. They're just,
Yeah, and there's a ton of them.
yeah. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. This is the internet. Got a couple of comments, Joe. Actually, my brother, he said he saw Radiohead at Metropolis, and he's thanking you for bringing him here.
Oh, thank you, Robbie, for going to the show.
What else we have here? Those are all of Dickie bars. They are all the same thing at all locations. David, they are all the same.
He's referring to Dickie Williams. He's a good operator. He's got like several bars in the top 10. I'm not making fun of. If you've got a formula and it works, it doesn't have to make sense to me at all.
Right.
He drives a niche. He's a really good operator.
You're just making an observation.
Yeah. No, I met him at Three Legged Monkey, and that guy was the bar manager, and that guy just gets after it. So
yeah,
I have lots of respect for that guy. But there's others that just, maybe they copy him or whatever, but they just, they got to jump out of the gates, compete and market, like you said. Can't just have a Facebook and Instagram. You got to get after it.
And if you do have a Facebook and an Instagram, you got to make sure that you're spending money on marketing and advertising because that's where everything's going, right? So, people think if they put a post up that it's just going to be out there. And the truth of the matter is that Facebook controls the algorithm. So if you have 100 people on your business Facebook page and you post something, you're lucky if Facebook shows it to 3 people. So if you're in business, if you own a restaurant or a bar, make sure that you're putting ad spend behind any of your ads to get that out there. So that's something that you have to think about and bring in somebody who knows what they're doing. But like you're right, Joe. You can't just post something or open a couple of things. You have to do some really heavy marketing. What things are you looking on changing at the new Club 101? Are you going to try to keep the new format? Are you thinking of things right now, or is there anything you want to share?
Well, I mean, I you know, whether I'm going to call it Club 101, if you know, I'm going to find a place, and then Club 101. We were down in San Francisco Street, and I'm like, wow, could I call it Alcatraz, this and that? But I just loved Highway 101, so that's how a Club 101 came up.
Right.
So we're looking at 2 or 3 locations. So maybe I won't do Club 101. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but when I was at the Super Bowl, everything I kept seeing was iced Coca-Cola, this and that. So I had a place called the Ice Bar, which was a pretty cool club on the west side for 3 years. So I'm looking for inspiration. If I did have a Club 101, somebody came up to me and said, hey, well, what are you going to do differently? And I like that. You can't just rest on your laurels just because, I had Club 101, it was famous, or somebody has a famous name. You still have to grab people's attention and bring them in.
Yeah. I mean, you have the pedigree, you have the know-how, you have a lot of knowledge that most people don't, but you're right. I mean, society's changed. Think about what you were telling me earlier about putting up flyers, right? You went to Sound Warehouse. I used to live at Sound Warehouse and go through all the long 33 right, the long plays and just sit there, what's coming out new. And but back then there was no internet, and you were able to succeed offline. Now you just have to take that strategy and put it online, and you can be just as successful, but you are still going to use some of those old strategies that you used back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I had a when text messaging came out, I had a text blast. When the fax machine came out, I hooked up with radio stations. I mean, I was in my office faxing like 700 faxes, flyers, And when internet came out, I jumped on that. I was probably the only club that had a website in the beginning. So whatever the new technology is, I do a little Snapchat, but I'm hip to it.
I do it too, but that's probably the last thing that I go to. It seems cumbersome to me. I don't.
Me too. Yeah.
It's like one person. I like Instagram a lot. So, but there's going to be new things coming up. It's going to keep changing. And so the new iteration of Club 101, I'm sure you're intending on bringing in live bands. I couldn't imagine you not.
Yeah. And, I don't have to do national, regional acts. I went to see a friend of mine's band at a small bar on Friday, and it was just so cool, intimate. So yeah, there's nothing like live music. I mean, but I like the DJ world too. So we'll definitely have dancing, as soon as we get a location. Yeah, I definitely want to incorporate live music.
Well, I can tell you as a Q&A show platform, Joe, we'll be here to help you promote. And like I was telling you earlier, we want to highlight the talent in El Paso, highlight new bands, new artists. I think that's missing. I think that, and I was asking you earlier, where do you see the gaps or the holes in your industry? I think there's a huge gap in the media industry here. Everybody's become so used to just social media, which I love it. But there's also got to be a place where people can go and get information on what's coming up, right? It can't be, because if you don't like somebody's page, you're not going to get that information. So there's got to be a hub. And it seems like the traditional marketing is just, they're traditional. They're old. They're not looking at the long-term play. They want to do a small article, or if it's television, they give you 30 seconds or a minute. And you can't tell somebody's story in that long. And that's why I like this platform, where we get to talk to you for however long. It's just a different format.
No, I agree. Everybody says radio is going to go away and it's just going to be internet radio. I don't know. I mean, if I had a local radio station, I'd just try to figure out how I could make people want to listen to my station. I'd be pulling in local bands. But everything is so corporate these days. And then they wonder why, even, newspapers and stuff like that. But
yeah, right. People are quick to support the national things and the big brands. And again, I'm in marketing, so I always throw this out there, but they say that every time a national chain restaurant opens up, 6 local restaurants close within 6 to 12 months. So, if people aren't supporting local, the pie is only so big in El Paso.
Yeah.
So, put your money where your mouth is and support local first. And then I'm not saying don't go and see the big bands or whatever it is, but you can't forget about the small clubs, the small business mom and pops, because they're going to go away. I mean, the internet changed everything.
When I first started, there was a club, and their whole thing was support local music, and I felt like they were just shoving it down my throat, where they should have made it entertaining to why I wanted to go. And I lived in Austin for a whole year, and I just love the whole keep Austin weird. You wanted to do things. And I totally agree, though. I go to as many local restaurants, and I'd really try to support local. And once in a while, I'll do some of the national stuff. But yeah, I'd rather see more money stay here in El Paso.
Yeah, and that's just the way it needs to be, and that's what this platform is about. So I appreciate you coming on. I know that you have a radio show, right? Can you talk a little bit about that and how people can find you and find that?
Well, probably the best way is to find it on Facebook. It's called Stepping Out, and it's then it goes through Mixcloud, and there's myself, and then there's Cesar Flores that we've been working forever. Then a good friend of mine, well, 2 good friends of mine. There's both Vigil, I always get his name wrong, and then we have Raven. So there's 4 of us, and these 3, they don't need me. They're very passionate about music. So just log into Facebook and find Stepping Out.
Stepping Out. And when does that air? Is it regular, weekly, monthly, daily?
Well, we're getting ready to do our 150. We're getting ready to record our show right now. And what we do is we record it, and then Cesar mixes it. He's the producer, and then it comes out like on a Wednesday.
That's awesome. So once a week.
Right.
Awesome.
And we've got listeners all over the world, so it's really cool. A lot of El Pasoans living other places, but other people that found out about our show.
Yeah, I mean the Q&A platform, we've been doing this for about a year, but the Q&A platform launched maybe 6 weeks ago, the website, and we're already in 30 states and 18 countries. So if the content is good, like you were saying, if it's entertaining, it's something that people connect to, people do find you, right? Of course, we do a lot of promotion. We bring on awesome guests like yourself. But yeah, if it's out there, you just have to go get it, and you need to promote it and be entertaining.
No, I totally agree. And we meet all the time, and we're always trying to change our show, and we're looking for new music constantly. And you don't have to be a national act. We want local bands or regional bands to send us their music because we love the arts.
And how can they get it to you, Joe? Just through the Facebook page?
Facebook, Dropbox, email.
So go to the Stepping Out page on Facebook and send it to you there. Unless there's an email you want to give out.
I don't know the email. I think it's Caesar's email address, but it should be on our page.
Okay. Well, good. And then so you've got some DJing coming up. People can find you one more time. Tell them where they can find you. I know you mentioned it earlier. One more shout out for you.
Okay. Well, this Thursday, I'm huge. All of us are huge fans of Depeche Mode. So lead singer, it's his birthday. So I do a Britpop night on Thursdays at Aviator Central, and that's in 5 Points. So it's my second week, but that's a lot of fun.
A lot of Morrissey and a lot of the Smiths, I'm assuming.
Just all Britpop, and it's not a dance night, so it's all on video, so people can sit there and watch the videos and request. On Friday nights, I'm on the east side, a place called DTF, where it's I play retro, and there's another DJ, top 40, stuff like that, and that's a lot of fun. And then on Saturdays, 2 weeks from now, the 18th, we're going to do the Morrissey birthday party because it's his 60th birthday, and so there's a lot of people who love Morrissey, a lot of people hate him, but and that's going to be at the OP downtown. So
I think he's got a huge fan base here in El Paso.
Huge.
Yeah, He does. He does. Well, it was a pleasure, Joe. Thank you for coming on. And like I said, you have an open invitation when you get closer to your club. Let me know. I'll have my media page cover you with articles, and we can share some stuff for you because we really want to see people like you keep that going and you reaching the new generation because it brings back a lot of fond memories. Club 101, and you did it the right way. And so to me and to a lot of people out here, it's just a lot of good connotation with you, Joe.
Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. Stay on real tight, Joe. I'm going to sign off with everybody, but stay tight real quick. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. So
Thank
you guys,
you.
thank you for joining me here on the Q&A show. Follow Joe, find his show. And remember, if you're watching this and you forgot to do it, please hashtag replay or hashtag live so that we know that you saw the show. And I do want to give a shout out to our corporate sponsors one more time, which is Innovair Air Conditioning. And like I said, give them a quote. Not only do they do refrigerated air conversions, but they do also service. So give them a call at 915-352-3916. They'll be happy to help you. They're great guys. And until my next show next week, you guys, I want you to stay safe, and thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate you joining us. Have a good one. Bye-bye.